Hey folks, welcome back to the Portable Gamer. Welcome back to Farming Simulator 17, and welcome back to the Western Shore. It is the first day of autumn and all kinds of developments. So, where to begin? Where to begin? As always, let's go back here. I did empty out the pit between the lane and the dairy, and I want to say we got about 130,000 for that. I mean, I'll go over and show it to you. It's just an empty pit, but, you know, in the interest of being thorough. So this is empty. There is a little bit of chaff in there. I found some stray grass, some random grass in the yard and threw it in there. But that is going to be, this is going to be what we fill up with third cut. Everything that does not get made into bales for both now Bramble Lane for the cows and also Seaview. And then this other pit over here, I opened it and took a little bit out of it just to top off the last load, and that is what is in our Larrington silage trailer that you saw down there in the yard. I did buy 3 trailers. Hop over here. I bought the Larrington silage in black. I bought this Chieftain triaxle. This is going to be the trailer for Seaview. We're going to use it for taking bales out there, and we're going to use it to take wool. Totally blanked what that word was for a second. We're going to use it to take wool to the sell point. Same as we did on Shamrock Valley. And then over here we have a West 10-ton grain trailer. And then over here we have our dually that we had before. Now I did, off camera, naturally, off camera, I did put the XML files for more realistic in all of these. And I have to say, I have neglected that in the past. I really have. I've been pretty adamant about keeping the tractors, not just in this implementation of FS17 now that we started 6 weeks ago, but a couple of years back. I did not always... I didn't make sure that every trailer and every tool and every implement had an MR file. And let me tell you, it makes a tremendous difference. This is what sort of got me hip to the error of my ways. I was hauling this Chieftain triaxle up here with the 5600, and it was a absolute piping hot mess to the point where I was getting ready to get rid of the trailer. And I, logged out of the game, X'd out of the game, calmed down, found the XML for it, found the more realistic, put it in, and it works a treat. So, yeah, if you're running more realistic, take the time, spend the time on the database, and find those XMLs, get them plugged in. It makes everything work a lot better. On that topic, this is our Forbidden Mods 5600. We did put a more realistic XML in it. But there were 2 problems that I had with it. One, I found the sound to be a little bland. And the other thing was it did not have a GPS aerial, and that meant we would have had to use our big JCB back there for our sprayer, our GPS-driven sprayer. I did 2 things to solve those problems. One was, let me zoom in here, I contacted my Trimble rep. Let's role play it. I contacted my Trimble rep. I said, send out a tech. And he did, and we got this Trimble GPS aerial installed with the data connection. We're good to go. We can now use the 5600 with the narrow tires, the row crop tires for our GPS-driven sprayer. That makes me very happy. I also, for the first time, built a sound profile for a tractor using things that I found various places. So I'm going to stop talking here and fire this up. Tell me what you think of it. And then under load, you'll have to let me know. There are a couple real farmers that hang out in my Discord, and I did ask them. What I was told was Massey Ferguson, particularly the 5600, can have kind of an electric whine, and this definitely does. The first few times I heard it, I thought there was a problem. It's more transmission than it is engine. It sounds like it's just all transmission and all retarder, but I'm told that's actually not too far from accurate. So for what it's worth, this is what we got going. So we're going to haul this down to the BGA and dump it. We're going to make a little bit more money. And we're going to come back here, drop off the Larrington, pick up the Chieftain, take that out to Seaview, and while we're out there, we need to clean up after our sheep, and we also need to feed them hay bales. I saw in the animals dialogue, the animal menu, I guess, more than a dialogue, it's the menu. Oh, careful, careful. I saw that the sheep were not at maximum productivity, even though they had plenty of grass. And I believe, although it has been a year since I've been in FS17. I think with seasons you have to give them a combination of foods, although that may be in base game as well. Don't quote me on that. Never quote me on anything. for that matter, but definitely don't quote me on this. But we're going to take them out some hay bales to go with their grass that they're getting from the pasture and see if we can bump their productivity up to 100%. And what else? Yep, third cut. We've got one pit open to get most of it, 350 to 400,000 liters. The rest of it we will make into hay bales, and we'll split those between Bramble Lane and Seaview. So yeah, that's what's going on there. What else is going on? You know, when I look at Cattle and Crops and the story behind Cattle and Crops, that the company is made of, the development team is made of farm sim franchise modders who decided, you know what, we can do better. Okay. And I see some things in Cattle and Crops and I think, yeah, I definitely recognize where you're coming from as far as, you know, what you want a farm sim to be. And one of the things that I liked about Cattle and Crops when I played it early days was the idea that you could assign complex tasks to workers and have those things happen. Now, in an ideal world, right, wish list world, I would want those things to have animations attached to them. So if we were going to have a worker feed our animals, right, and in Cattle and Crops, if you're not familiar with it, you pick a worker, you tell them what tractor they're going to use, what tools they're going to use, what trailer they're going to use, where they're going to get the food, and then that happens, right? It doesn't really have an animation, or at least it didn't when I was in the game, and it's got to be over a year ago, almost 2 years ago. But in my ideal world, there would be an animation attached to that, almost to the point where you could have a whole yard full of activities. Now that's super, super complex, particularly in a tight yard where you've got, you got this worker doing this and this worker doing that. They may be crossing paths. They may need to be in the same place at the same time. That's a pretty sophisticated AI functionality to sort out. So yeah, I understand that doesn't happen, and in some ways maybe it can't happen. But I would love to see that, even if it's strictly really just an edit of the XML, where we say, I want you to take the content of pit X, right, pit 1, which we know to be 350,000 liters, and I want a worker to transport it to the BGA. We know what the price of that silage is going to be when we sell it. We know the volume of digestate we're going to get. And we could maybe even calculate in there how long it would take based on how far the trip is, because we do have two sets of coordinates, right? We've got the location of the pit via coordinates. We've got the location of the hopper via coordinates, right? Even if it's just rudimentary, just to calculate a rough distance, calculate how many trips it's going to take, which trailer do you want to use, that sort of thing. Because it has been, I want to say, about 15 trips we've made down here. And I'm trying to drive realistically and drive cautiously, and it has taken hours to get this. And I saw a comment in a thread on Realismus Modding, and they said, yeah, you can't skip winter. Winter is kind of a boring, tedious time on a farm, and we want the game to be realistic. I can totally relate. I get that. I like that. I respect that. But I also know that some people don't have as much time as I do to game. And the idea that in the limited time that you have available, you would have to do something tedious in a game, I think some people are a bit put off by that. As always, we would make these things optional, right? You don't have to automatically unload your pit, but if you wanted to, you could. And of course, there would be a fee for it. So we're going to get, I think, about 225,000 pounds for all of the silage that we sell from Second Cut. Maybe the fee to have that all delivered is 50,000, or half, or whatever. So you really need to consider, do I want to do this manually and take that financial loss? Reverse that. Do I want to do it automatically and take a financial loss? Or do I want to do it myself and, put the time into it, even though it's kind of boring? I would love to see those kinds of features brought either into FSX, whatever it ends up being, FS2X, or if a modder could make that either for 17 or 19, I would really like to see that. And I think there may be some limited functionality for some of that stuff, but I don't know if, I know it's never been a part of base game, and I don't know if it ever will be, but I would love to see those things brought in. I would love to be able to have a combination of a playable sim and also a management sim, where you're sort of directing the activities of your farm and handling a staff and payroll and activities, fuel, that sort of thing. Like when we buy fuel on this map, we'll buy it at the regular liter price, or price per liter. But a farmer would buy their fuel in bulk. They may even buy it, they may even buy futures, right? Lock in a price. And if the price goes up or down, if they made their investment properly and the price goes up, they got a great deal. And if the price goes down, then they have to take a little bit of a loss. But so it goes, right? So this is a cutoff that I found. This is sort of the opposite side of the little lane that we took down. So when we leave Seaview Farm now, we go north and east. And then we cut down that little lane to get back to Bramble Lane Farm. This is the opposite number of that. This is, I believe it's the same lane running north to south, but we're on the south part of it now. And this, I think, cuts off a little bit of time. Even though we're going slower, I think this cuts off a little bit of time on our return trip from the BGA. And it keeps me out of traffic. And anytime I'm out of traffic, I'm happy. So we will get this back to, and you'll see where we are momentarily. We're going to come out by field 6-8. But we'll get this Larrington trailer back to the farm. We'll get it parked up. Oh, no, we're not going to park it up. We're just going to stuff it in a corner for now. And we'll pull the Chieftain out. Where the Chieftain triaxle is, temporarily, is where this Larrington will live permanently. We just need to get the two swapped over. And then the triaxle will live out at Seaview Farm. I think that makes sense. I wanted another trailer out there, because it is going to be, as our sheep operation grows, we are going to have, hopefully, a bit of wool to deal with. And on this side of the map, we're going to be having a lot of bales to deal with. So the idea that we would have two separate trailers, I think that's reasonable. And as much money as we made from silage, and we'll make that amount or more for third cut, I think it's time to invest in some equipment. Now, with those having the MR file added to them, I don't want to say that we're locked into them, because there are certainly other MR XMLs available on the database. But I'd like to get out of the habit of swapping equipment in and out, save game, knowing that some of the equipment that we swap in quickly just to sort of play with or try out or have on the farm for a day or two may not have those more realistic features added to it, and isn't really going to be performing as well as it could. And if it's just, let me choose my words carefully here. If it's just not behaving quite right, that's one thing. But if it's really frustrating us and, causing a lot of problems, that's no good. And it's just no fun. It's not a fun way to farm, and it's not something that I want to get in the habit of doing. And now that I've really seen the difference, back to back, having the more realistic file in there and not having the more realistic file, I feel like, in a way, we sort of can't ever go back. And this all goes back to a comment that I got when we had first started the farm, when we had the Ford County, and somebody said, hey man, if it doesn't have that second dialogue under the HUD, that's not running more realistic. I'm really glad I got that comment. It's a little bit embarrassing, to be kind of called out like that, but that's how you learn things. You got to be wrong if you're going to learn things. So I'm very, very glad that whoever it was that posted that comment let me know, because that's sort of driven our more robust implementation of more realistic. Right. So we will head out to, we have everything we need, right? Hang on, before we get too far. We've got a weight on the front, which is going to become our weight on the back. We've got a Chieftain, and we've got 4 bales. Yep. Our front loader is out at Seaview, and I did, off camera, I did get pallet forks, because I forgot we're going to have wool out there that we'll need to load. And also that we will have sheep making a mess, so I got a bucket for it as well, because we'll need to clean up after our sheep. In fact, you can see in the top left corner, the health of our sheep is 32%, because they have a ton of mess that I need to clean up. So we'll get them cleaned up. We'll get a hay bale in their feed trough. And what else is going on? Oh, I did get both the tanks, the one at Bramble Lane and the one at Seaview. I did get both of those full. They both hold 20,000 liters, 20,000 gallons. 20,000 liters. They're both full. I did get to thinking, and I actually walked around both of them outside of a vehicle and really took a good look and confirmed that there is no way to load water from the tank directly into the trough. I wasn't able to find one. If there is one, please do let me know. I don't think there is, and I'm really curious about that because I can't imagine in real life that a farmer would fill a tank with a trailer and then to get water into a trough 10 feet away, use that trailer again, fill it up, right, and move it 10 feet and then unload it. That just doesn't seem super realistic. I could be wrong, but it doesn't seem super realistic. So, if you know the reason for that, either in the map or in real life, let me know that as well. It could come down to scripting. It could come down to Bullet Bill just, ooh, it's sliding right there. Could come down to Bullet Bill just wanting to keep us honest, that we don't fill the tank and then the only thing we need to do for the rest of the year or the rest of the season is just go over and turn a handle to fill the trough. Although there is that mod now for 19, and I believe it exists for 17 as well. So I would think that scripting it is at least in some way possible, right? You'd think, because I know it's been done in 19, but neither here nor there. We will haul water as we need to. And I'm trying to think, is there anything else? Is there anything else? Our canola did not green up. I was hoping that it would, so we could spray. I'm curious now if it's going to green up this fall at all, or if it's just going to green up next spring ahead of our summer crops, right? Because it is a winter crop, it's going to begin to mature earlier, but that it won't begin to germinate until next spring. I hope it does start to green this fall so we can get that other layer of fertilizer on it. Right. Very carefully turning here. Man, swinging out to the right to make a left turn. Traffic is, it's not as aggressive as it is on some other maps, but traffic definitely does not want to wait for you. They will try to sneak by in that little gap that you leave when you pull out to the right. Right, Seaview Farm. I haven't bought any more sheep. Thought about it, and I may, now that we have hay out here, but as of yet, I have not bought any more sheep. Gate is open. If you're curious why I moonwalk, the reason is so I don't throw the camera around any more than I absolutely have to. I know I do tend to get a little wild with the camera, and I would like to not do that any more than I absolutely have to. I know I'm not crazy about it when YouTubers do it, and I try to keep it to a minimum myself. All right, so we're going to drop this first. We're going to pull up here. Time, 18 minutes. I think we'll be okay. Carefully back up around there. You know what? Before we forget, let's do two things. Let's come over here. And just quickly, before we swap this weight around, we'll come out here. Close that. Now we'll come over here. Drop the weight. Right? Get this hooked up on the back. I didn't quite line it up. Didn't quite line it up the way I wanted to. There we go. That's better. So we'll get this on the back. Like so. Now we'll come over here. Grab our front loader. Let's tell you what, let's do this. Since we're already... could have been a little closer. Could have been a little closer. Let's grab our bucket first. It's right there. And let's see where we clean up after these animals. I can see it right there. All right. Zoom in a little bit here. Easy enough. And I am going to... Let's take a bit of a wider swing here. I miss the trough sometimes. If I try to sneak it into the trigger from the side, I end up missing. So let's come right over here. And like so. Is that about right? And the nice thing with seasons is if you do miss and end up dumping grass everywhere, it will rot and go away. Oh, other way. Other reverse, son. Golly. Not sure what happened right there, but mistakes were made. All right. So over here now, and I'll find a better place to put these. This is just kind of a quick and dirty spot for them at the moment, but I will find a home for them. All right, so we'll go back here. Like so. Before we do anything else, let's go back here. Take the straps off these. Hopefully, yeah. I didn't realize we were on a bit of a lean there. I was curious if they would move or roll at all, but they did not. Okay. So then right back in here. Put that up. And I guess we can back into the workshop. Yeah, probably easiest. Perspective, lacking as always. There we go. Close. All right. And I don't know if there is a bale consume trigger on this trough. Let's find out. And there certainly is. Beautiful. And I think that's us done. Right? They do have water. Maybe not a lot, but they got some in there. I'll have to go back over and get the tanker, bring it back over here. They do have water. They do have hay now, and they have grass in the field. Beautiful. So let's get this up out of the way. Set brake. Hop out here. And there you have it. Yeah, we're done. Folks, thanks for stopping back to check out The Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Farming Simulator 17. This is the Western Shore. We'll see you next time. Take care now.